Hey everyone, and welcome to the next lesson in the series on AWS fundamentals. So today we'll be looking at a new service. We'll be looking at something called Amazon S3. So Amazon S3 is one of the cloud storage services, okay, and we can use it to store objects, or you could say files, in something called an S3 bucket, okay? So an S3 bucket is much like a directory, okay? So try and get that logic clear. So we're going to be storing files, in other words, objects, in S3 buckets, otherwise known as directories. Okay, so let's go straight to it. So you just want to type in S3 here. Okay, and you can go ahead and bookmark this if you'd like. Okay, so we'll be using it for a while. So we can go and click on Amazon S3. Okay, so since this is your first time using it, you won't see this page, you'll see this page here. Let me go back. So you'll see this here. So Amazon S3, store and retrieve any amount of data from anywhere. Great. So let's go ahead and actually create a bucket. Okay, so this is sort of like our directory where we'll store all of our files or objects. Okay, so create a bucket. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want to create a bucket name. So something important to note. So as AWS specifies here, bucket names must be globally unique. And they cannot contain spaces or uppercase letters, so lowercase letters. So I'm just going to call one here. I'm going to say my bucket 96 AP. So just assign it something unique for yourself. Okay. All right. The region. Okay. Best to choose the same as me. Okay. I'm using US East 2. Okay. We can leave everything here default for now. Okay, what we can do here is we can go ahead and remove this block public access for now. Okay, and we can acknowledge here this here. Okay, so just acknowledge this. So this is to allow us to actually access our file so we can actually view it. Okay, so bucket versioning and encryption we will talk about later on, okay? So the focus of this lesson is to create an Amazon S3 bucket and just get you introduced to Amazon S3. Okay, so we can go ahead and create our bucket now. Okay, so let's just wait for that. There we go, done. So our bucket has been created, and there's our bucket here. Don't worry about the others. I was busy working on Elastic Beanstalk, so you can click here on your bucket that you created. This is the one I just created now. Okay, there we go. Now, even though, if we go back to buckets here, even though it does say objects can be public, okay, it's not fully open to the public because we would have to go ahead and define a sort of like a bucket policy, which is very similar in IAM to permission policies. So you could treat bucket policies sort of like the S3 sort of permission policy to IAM, but we'll talk about that later on. But let's focus on our bucket. So here we can go ahead and actually store objects. We can actually upload objects here. So what I'm going to do is actually upload an object or a file. So whenever I say object, I mean a file. Okay. So let me minimize this a bit. And you can actually go ahead and drag your file. You can either go ahead and upload it and then search for it on your desktop, or you can go ahead and drag it. I prefer to drag it. So I'm going to drag my image here. So just left click and release. And there we go. So we can actually now go ahead and upload our file here. Okay, and upload it. So mine is called cat1.jpg. So just a picture of a cat with glasses. Okay, this is fine. We can close this. Okay, there is our file. So let's open this here. All right, so you'll notice here that there are actually two ways that we can actually open this object. We can either open it here, or we can open it here. Okay, so let me explain the first way. So let's try and open it here. Okay, there we go. So we can see our image here has opened. So we can also see that there is a fancy URL here, okay, with a security token that's being passed. Now, I'll explain this in a second. What we can do is try and open this URL here. And you'll notice it says access denied. Okay, now you'll notice here the URL here is very short. And if we look at this one here, it's very long and it's passing in some sort of security token that's quite long here, along with a showing the response content disposition as well, along with this token. Now in this link here, we're trying to access our cat picture here, but without that long elongated security token. Now, the thing is here, if we go back to our bucket here, when we are opening our object from this link here, okay, this is sort of like a special URL, okay, and this allows us to actually view this picture because we are currently logged in as an IAM user that is authorized on AWS. This is the reason for why we can access this. All right, now this link here, okay, is the link for the public. Okay, so this is the link for anybody in the world, okay, and they are unable to do this because, like I said, we need to assign something called a bucket policy to actually allow our users to actually view it, okay. But since we are an authorized AWS user, we are able to view this picture via this link here that we opened up. Okay, so that's just what I wanted to mention here, and in the next lesson, we will be looking at bucket policies, okay? So we want to actually view our cat image here from anywhere in the world, okay? With this link, okay? How it should be. Because this link here, as you can see, is a very specialized link, and it's because we are an AWS IAM user, and it is giving us sort of permission here to actually view this image via this URL. Okay, so just bear that in mind. So the things to summarize here, okay, once we open our object this way, through this button here, opening, it's going to generate a unique sort of security token that it will allow us as the IAM user to view this while logged in to AWS. Now, the normal object URL, okay, which is supposed to be for public view for anyone in the world, okay, this one here is denied, okay, no one can access this because we haven't set the bucket policy like I mentioned before. So just bear that in mind, okay. So that is all I want to mention now for S3, Amazon S3, along with buckets and so on. Okay, the only other thing that I'll mention here after I close this is if we go to our buckets, I'll explain a little bit more here for you guys. So if we open it up, okay, you can also see we have different sections. So next time we will go to permissions, and as you can see here, we would need to create a bucket policy, which will be written in JSON, okay, and this specific bucket policy that we're going to write is going to allow anyone to actually view our objects, okay. Then we also get a few tags on metrics. If you want to see the metrics between our total bucket size and our number of objects, do note this does take a while to generate. Then we have management as well. So we can manage something called lifecycle rules, replication rules, configurations, and so on. And we can also go ahead and actually create an access point. Okay. Now this is very useful if we are going to scale and for shared data sets. We can go there. Also, we can look under properties as well. So we can just see a little bit of information about our bucket, such as the region, the ARN, which is very important when we create an S3 bucket policy, when this bucket was created, all right, a little bit about bucket versioning, also something called multi-factor authentication delete. So just a little bit of things that we can do. So we can also add MFA on our S3 objects and our buckets. Okay, so that's all I wanted to mention here about Amazon S3 buckets. So the whole point was to create an Amazon S3 bucket and to just simply go ahead and upload a file just to test how it works and just to get a general feeling. Okay, so that's it on creating an Amazon S3 bucket. Thank you.